Tim Petrovich of the Daily Republican here on our weekly visit with Marion head football coach Kerry Martin. Coach, we head into week 6. The Wildcats are 5-0, and we won't spend a whole lot of time on Friday's game. 38-20 win kept the perfect season going. And one of the things I think I do have to talk about is the performance of Torrin Stanley,
right,
because he was all over the place. I mean, that was a highlight reel type of football game for Torrin.
It really was. You know, he had an outstanding night. He played big on all 3 phases of the game. He had a couple of touchdowns as a running back, and he blocked an extra point, ran 2 punts back. Unfortunately, they were called back due to penalties. He had an interception return, almost had another pass, was in on some tackles. I mean, it was an absolute complete game, and we really needed a big performance by somebody. And well, he stepped up on a night that maybe everything wasn't quite clicking the way you wanted it to be clicking, and he stepped up and had a great night.
Is that the kind of Torrin Stanley that we could see week in and week out?
Well, we hope so. I mean, you know, we have to do we have to be conscious of the fact we've got to get him the football in a number of different ways, and he can make some things happen. And you know, it was great to see him up there catching punts and making things happen. And he's a big play kind of player, and you need big plays to win ball games. And boy, he's delivered that. He and Shaquille both have been big play players for us. And you know, that's a game changer for you. It's a momentum changer for you. And he just, for 4 quarters last Friday, he just played outstanding.
And I think the big thing you take out of Friday night is, even though you may have seen some things you didn't necessarily like, or some things you need to fix, you're still 5-0 at the end of the night.
Yeah, you know, and not everything on the film was bad. I mean, there were just a little inconsistency that we were hoping we wouldn't have, and I thought the kids played pretty well. You know, a couple of drives they had, I think we made some mistakes on defense and our key reading and stuff, and offensively we sputtered a little bit here or there. But overall, it was a good night for us. And like you said, you know, we played a team that's been a great program for a long time, and got a solid win and went to 5-0. So you know, we always need to improve, and just rather do it on the winning side than the losing side. So we felt pretty good about the game.
Friday night on the road at Belleville against Althoff. This is a team that's probably been, this is a game that's probably been highlighted on the schedule since the beginning of the year. Althoff, one of the teams expected to be pretty solid in the South 7 this year.
Yeah, they are. They're a solid football team and a great tradition, great program, and you know, they're well coached. They're a big physical team. They've got some great skilled people, and you know, it's just a great matchup, I think, of 2 good football teams vying for position in the South 7 standings, and I'm just real impressed with them on film, and Coach Turner does a great job, and we'll have to play very well to win the game. But other side of it is they will too. They're going to have to play a good ball game to beat us. We're going to have to play one of our better ball games to beat them, and you know, the team that maybe makes the fewest mistakes and executes the best is going to win this ball game.
They've got a marquee running back in Vincent Arterbridge. He's got 545 yards through 5 games, so yeah, someone to watch, obviously, in their offense.
Yeah, he's a transfer from East St. Louis High School, and I think he played quite a bit as a freshman at East St. Louis, and so he brings with him a pretty good football career so far. He's had some injuries in his 2 middle years of high school, but he's back, he's healthy, and he's playing very well for him, and he's a big back, about 6'2" or 3", 230 pounds, so he'll be a load, and they've got some good offensive linemen to go with it, and so we're going to have to really, you know, he's one of those guys we've got a key on, but at the same time they've got other weapons too.
The quarterback, Jabari Taylor, 2nd year as their quarterback, so he's got some experience back there as well.
He's a good athlete as well, you know, and he's off to a good start, and he's a good runner. He's been pretty consistent throwing the ball. I think you know, he's one of those kids that I think through the year, as the year progresses, he's going to get better. He's over 50% passing percentage, and so I think that's a phase of the game that they've improved on.
And I think one other question we have to ask is Carson Sonberg ever going to graduate?
No, I mean, and you know, I think his brother played before him, and so we've dealt with that name as an Althoff name, and then all of a sudden here comes his so-called younger brother, not little brother, his younger brother. That's been a tradition-rich school with names like that going through with a family, and we'll be glad to see him depart from Belleville Althoff High School, because he's a very fine football player.
What do you have to do Friday night to be successful?
Well, we have to be, you know, we have to stop the run. Defensively, we have to play good run defense. There's no 2 ways about it, and we have to be able to run the ball ourselves. I think the other phase, and I sometimes repeat myself, but I think we got to play run defense. We got to run the ball, and I think we got to create some turnovers. And then I think the other factor is we've got to win the special teams game. We've got to win the kicking game. We've got to do a better job on returns. We've got to do a better job on field position. And those things to me stand out. When you play a big ball game, to me it's not that complicated. They're going to want to run the football, and so are we. And I think the team that does that the best and stops the other the best obviously has the upper hand. I do think some big plays may come off the pass in this ball game because both teams are so run conscious.
When you look at some of your team's numbers this year, and I was doing a little studying and research, one of the things that sticks out to me is, as a ball club, you've got 1,400 yards rushing in 5 games. And not only that, but you're averaging almost 7 yards a carry. And those numbers are phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, it's a tribute to good backs. It's a tribute to a very good offensive line. And a quarterback like Brett, who's thrown the ball well enough to keep defenses honest, and it's a number of things that go into that. And again, we feel like if we continue to follow the game plan that we can be successful. But there's going to come a night where we know that we're going to have to find some ways to do some other things to be successful. And that's what I loved about last week. We were finding ways to get the ball in the end zone in other phases, and that makes us even better. But right now, running the ball is our strength. But I'm proud of the fact that Brett's over 60-65% passing completion percentage, and that's big for us. So as long as he manages that offense and continues to dish the ball to our playmakers, I think good things will happen for us.
Well, and he's thrown for 400 yards too. So, I mean, you're looking at 800 total yards, which is 350 or more yards per game in total offense, which is in itself a good number too.
It really is, and again, I think it begins and ends with the offensive line, because they've had a very solid year for us. They continue to work well together, and you can have the great backs and you can have the quarterback and the receivers, but if you don't have the protection of the running lanes, very little of all that matters. And so Coach Skeet has done a great job of getting those kids ready, and week in and week out. We've had a couple of nicks and dings up there as far as injuries. Different kids have filled in and done a nice job for us. So a lot of the credit goes to the guys we don't hear much about, the guys up front. So,
among some of the research I did, this is maybe something you know or you don't know. Since the start of the 2005 season, no school in the South 7 Conference has won more football games or has a better winning percentage than Marion High School. Talk about the progression of how this has gone, and when you think back on where things were when you got here and how it's progressed and how it's kind of built upon itself.
Wow, yeah, no, I didn't know that statistic, but it's something that we first came here was a work in progress. But I think there's been a tradition and a culture created that I think has the kids wanting to play football. I think the expectations are for success. The expectations are that in the off season you need to do this and that to be successful. We were very fortunate to turn the corner here in 2005 with a class of kids that wanted to change things along with the coaching staff. And we had some previous very, very good players and fine young men come through the first 3 years, but we didn't have enough of them. And then beginning in 05, I think we had a class of kids that wanted to change things, kids like Adam Byrne and Dustin Borum and some others. And they established, they set a bar higher for success, for work ethic and practice, the way they practiced every day, and the expectations begin to change. I think every class following them has tried to stay at that level, to meet that standard or exceed it. And now our kids have an expectation of success that I think is carried over, and now I hope is permeating the program on down to the lower levels. But I say all that, every year you have to earn your success, and every year each class that comes through here has to continue to play at that level to be successful. And right now we've had enough classes come through that are willing to commit and sacrifice to continue having that kind of success. But it is an ongoing process, and we tell the kids you got to earn it every week.
And I think that success has created interest even younger than the freshman level, because last Friday night we saw the large group of kids in the youth football program that were here through the program that they were having. a lot of kids who are now interested in football who maybe wouldn't have given it a second thought 10 years ago.
Well, and they made a commitment about 3 years ago. Our youth football program made a commitment to trying to do more of what we do at the varsity level, the high school level, as far as offensive terminology, offensive scheme. And I think that's had a big impact for us, because now the lower level kids are coming to the high school now as freshmen, and they understand our formation calls, they understand our terminology. And it's accelerated the process of getting a young team ready, because the terminology's in place and so forth, and so much of the basic fundamental stuff's in place. So we appreciate their commitment to what we were doing, and they've had success with it. The kids are having fun running it, and now they come into high school. The transition to the high school system, I think, is so much easier. So, you know, any success that we've had in the South 7 since 2005 is attributed to so many factors. A great coaching staff that I've got working for me, committed kids, a youth program that's committed to doing what we need them to do, an administration that continues to support us and be behind us, a school board the same way, and a community that continues to be very supportive of our program. There's a lot of things that go into the turnaround here.
Are you guys healthy? I know you had a few dings last week, but
yeah, overall we've got a couple of kids, a couple of kids we'd love to have back right now that are going to be nursing some injuries. Herbert McMillan came back from an injury and is injured something else, and so I feel bad for Herbert. He's had a rough senior year with just some injury situations, and we're still waiting to hear about him. So other than that, we're pretty healthy, and we hope that we can stay that way to finish the rest of the week and get up to Althoff with a full group.
Nothing better than to be 6-0, right?
It'd be awesome. 5-0 is great, 6-0 is better. I know it sounds greedy, but to be 6-0 would be a special thing to obtain. But we've got a tough opponent standing in our way, and it's going to take a good performance to get it.
Kerry Martin, head coach of the Marion Wildcats for the Daily Republican. I'm Tim Petrovich.